What's up, folks? Hey, guys. Guys, if you can hear me, uh, quickly say yes in the chat. Awesome. Beautiful. How's your Saturday going, guys? How's your Saturday going? I mean, shit. It's not even Saturday, it's Sunday. Where am I? Where am I? I'm a little lost. I got vaccinated yesterday and I've been in a daze ever since. So that's my excuse. Hilarious. Vaccination alcoholic. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I don't know. I haven't fallen sick or anything, so nothing too bad. My roommate Abhinav has fallen sick. He's having a really hard time after getting vaccinated. I started really panicking. I'm like, dude, is the vaccine not working for me? Why am I not falling sick and all that? And I did some online research and I found some good, credible data to sort of tell myself that, hey, just because you're not sick doesn't mean the vaccine is not working. So, yeah, immune system is under training after vaccine. Yeah, pretty much, dude. How you doing, Sid? Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Just give me one sec. All right, beautiful. Beautiful. Raghav is going to come on at exactly 10:05. I'm just waiting for a few people to join in before I get Raghav on. He's already here in the chat. He's already reminded me that it's a Sunday and not a Saturday. You guys are getting vaccine. If anyone needs vaccines in Bangalore, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I have sources and I can give it to you. No issues. Hit me up on Instagram if you're in Bangalore and if you want to get vaccinated. All right, all right, all right. We have a couple more folks joining in. Beautiful. Okay, tell me quickly, guys, where are you from? What city are you guys from? I want to know where in India all of you are listening to this. Lucknow, Gurgaon, Jammu, Bangalore, damn, all over. Surat, Faridabad, Kota, Jaipur, Delhi, Pune, Agra, Bhopal. Damn, I'm not seeing a pattern here. This is just like all over. This is insane. Jabalpur, Mangalore, Ambala, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Jaipur. Come on, Ishan. Mars, really? That's what you're gonna go for? That's what you're gonna go for, buddy? Mars, Gondia. Are you going to sing? No, I'm not gonna sing. I'm not gonna sing, but I have an amazing musician with me, though. All right, cool. I'm just gonna begin. Not waiting for too long. Let folks are joining in. Let them keep joining in. Awesome, guys. I have a very, very, very special guest with me. He's a good friend. His name is already in the events tab. His name is Raghav Miatal. So, for everyone who doesn't know who Raghav Miatal is, quick intro. Raghav is an amazing, amazing singer songwriter. He writes amazing songs both in English. Recently, as he started writing in Hindi as well. One of his songs, City Life, which every single person here must listen, has just crossed a million streams on Spotify. A million freaking streams on Spotify. He has over 90,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. So, if you've been following the independent music scene of India, I'm pretty sure you'll know who Raghav is. I don't think he even needs an intro there. But that's on his musical side. But besides being an amazing musician, Raghav is a pro marketer. He has worked for some crazy ass brands. Like he's been working at Cred, he's worked at Instamojo, and currently he's working for a talent agency called Big Bang, and he's leading the marketing and brand efforts over there. And another thing, he is also the guy who sang the song which was featured on the Creds boy band ad, which featured three legendary cricketers. And the voice that you hear over there is Raghav's voice. And he's done a bunch of other cool stuff, collabed with Nike, has an ad on that, featured on Son of a Beach. He's done a TEDx talk. He's done so many things. This guy is a multi talented genius, and I'm more than honored to have him over here on scenes. So, without further ado, Raghav, let's have you on stage, man.
What's up, man? How are you? Can you hear me? What a sweet introduction.
Cheers, man. So glad to connect with you again. It's been such
Yeah,
a long
this
time,
is
dude.
such a cool app. I installed it a couple of hours ago, and I've been sort of just navigating the space and just going through different sessions, and it's awesome, dude. Like I really like it.
I'm so glad, dude. I'm so glad that you've been liking the whole app and the whole experience. There's multiple sessions happening every day, dude. Right now, we're seeing a trend because everybody's cashing in on the crypto frenzy that's going on. So most sessions
Yeah.
happening now are like very crypto centric, but usually there's like some motivation stuff. There's a couple of amazing musicians also who come sing here regularly. So totally, you should check them out as well.
No, this is awesome. I really like it. And I was just stalking some of the people over here. So I was just looking at whether they're musicians. A lot of them are like students, marketers. It's awesome. So nice to sort of just be participating. And I think this chat box is awesome too. So it's very engaging. Yeah, I love it already.
I'm so glad, dude. I'm so glad. How have you been, dude? Are you like in Bombay now?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. I'm in Bombay. I've been here for a while. I mean, I just spent last lockdown in Delhi with where my folks live, but I've been in Bombay for the last nearly a year now. Um, it's been good, yeah, just putting my head down and working honestly, because there's not much else that you can do. So just ordering
Yeah,
in
yeah.
food.
Dude, you haven't been very active on Instagram lately. I don't see you coming live and all that. So I
Yeah,
kind of
like
guess that you must be drowned in work and all that.
I'm down in work, but also a little bored of Instagram. Like I don't know, I just don't feel like. So unless I have something exciting to do, I'm gonna sort of just. Right now I'm really down with work also, but I feel I'm a little bored of Instagram now, man. Like I just don't feel like posting. Um, so I keep doing
You're
it.
like जो भी
Yeah.
करना है सब कुछ कर दिया है अब कुछ बाकी नहीं है. Is that the phase you're in?
Uh, no, yeah, I think I get really active when there's a music release. But otherwise, there's not. I don't want to be the guy who's constantly posting stuff when I don't have things to post about. You know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right, yeah.
so it's that, and in terms of a live format, I'm just sort of sick of the sort of getting somebody on and making them play for me. So unless I crack a new concept, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So
Right. Even community has been quite inactive since the last couple of months. What's going on
not
that end?
really. I mean, in terms of live, no, but we've been doing workshops here and there. So I make it a point to do
Ah,
at least
same.
one workshop every month. That I'm doing for sure. But I think more recently, my work at the label that I work for, essentially for everybody who might not know, I basically run this incubation platform for independent artists called Big Indie Bang, and basically that really sort of I feel like is similar to the stuff that I did at community, right? Like I'm literally
Right.
launching artists who I saw at the community, who I worked with, and now I'm working with them at a much larger scale. So I feel
Right.
like that side of me which really wanted to do something for independent musicians is being taken care of at a much larger scale because that's become my day job.
Right, dude, that's actually amazing because you have both these sides of yourself that's insanely active and that you're insanely good at, which is music and marketing. And it's so amazing. It's such a dream come true that both of these passions have sort of come across to this perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For me, I think I've been very lucky. I think it's just about doing what you really want to do and doing it well. I think when I was a full time musician, I paid a lot of attention to sort of marketing the stuff, my music the way I would. So I would meet somebody every day. I think networking is really important, and over time, my network has become huge. And because of that, I've just leveraged those skills to sort of my job. And initially, for the first 2 years at Big Bang Music, I was marketing the most commercial artists. In fact, I was responsible for Tiger Shroff's music debut, right? Like
Oh yeah,
stuff
I
like
saw
that,
that.
right?
That
Like
was
as
insane.
as as commercial as it gets. It doesn't get more commercial than that.
Yeah.
But after that is, I think the community really helped, because I think I must have spoken to about 800 musicians in 6 7 months that I was going live every night. And I just pitched it to my boss saying that let's start a sub label, where let me find and nurture some of these independent artists and do stuff that I didn't manage to do when I was 21. uh,
Right.
that's essentially the aim.
So has community sort of unofficially merged with the big indie band project that you're leading?
No, I mean, like, I still sort of talk to a lot of musicians and generally do that outside, because even at Big Bang, right, with Big Indie Bang, it's still going to be a little bit geared towards Hindi music. So it's not completely English either, because it's also at the end of the day, as an Indian label, I can't do so much for English musicians anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
the real
at
value
the end of
add
the day,
comes
it's not
from.
very commercially viable, and that just is the unfortunate
It's
thing.
not even about I don't think it's about commercial viability, but say, for example, if I had to sort of work with, say, a Dhruv Vishwanath or myself also, right, with English music, I feel like Dhruv already has the same connections that I would reach out to as the Indian label. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless I can take him international and get him onto those international playlists, is when it makes sense for a Dhruv to work with us. You know what I mean? Or any of these English independent musicians right now in the country. But I think the real growth can come from guys like Nehal and some of these younger guys who've never really released a song. But then, how do we sort of build them onto the future, the next big superstars, right? Like right now, in all my pitches, it's like, how let's find the next Pratik Kuhad, next Ritwiz, and the next Divine. Those are the
Right.
three, right? So these are
Those
the
have become
three
like the
genres that I'm
standards.
currently focusing on, where you found these three outliers and these amazing sort of musicians who've really popped it. Uh, and how do you sort of build that? I think for everybody asking, it's fresh tunes at bgbng.co is the A&R team. So hit them up with SoundCloud links of your demos, and would love to listen to them and see what we can do and upcoming tracks, ideally. And then we'd love to do something with you guys. In fact, we just launched a song on Friday, which is, I asked you if you can do it on Sunday.
Ah, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
We
Makes
were
sense.
trending on YouTube. We were trending on YouTube at number 34. So that was a big win for us.
What's the name of the song? I never caught it on
It's
Instagram.
called Ramayana. It's called Ramayana. It's a hip
Okay.
hop track. I
Nice.
basically seeded it through multiple gamers, and you should check out the comment section. It's lit. It's got like 9,500 comments on YouTube in less than 48 hours.
Oh, damn, insane. Guys, can someone in the chat just put the link over here? It'll be awesome if
It's
all of
called
us can check that.
Ramayana by Akshay Daman.
Awesome, awesome. Cool.
I don't rap, Rakesh.
You don't. Lots of rap fans in the house. Okay, so dude, you've come like quite a long way from. So you also had a formal education in marketing itself, right? Where you actually started a career. You were working for one of the. You were working as a marketing person at a few companies before you officially made the transition to becoming a full time singer songwriter. So, can you tell me a little more about what kind of course you did in college? You studied in Delhi, if I'm not wrong, and
Yeah.
then you sort of worked at a company. I think was it Instamojo? Was that the first company?
No, so in fact, I studied history. I've had no formal training in marketing. I studied history at St. Stephen's College in DU. And that time I was very involved with my band.
Why
But
history?
why history? Because I was always had a flair for writing,
Okay.
and I wanted to do economics or history, and I didn't make the cutoff for economics, so I chose history. Or to be very very honest,
Right.
but no, I really enjoyed sort of reading from, I think, when I was in school as well, and I always had a flair for writing. So history became like this thing where in college history is very sort of putting your opinions up front and reading different opinions and putting your sort of summary down and your thoughts down. So I thought it was very interesting. But I think by the end of second or third year, I got really bored, and I wanted to do different things. But I mean, I spent 3 years in college just doing music, right? Like I had a band, and I acted as a manager also for the band. So I would literally get us shows, and like we would travel a little bit and sort of apply to these college festivals, and we were winning a lot of the college festivals back in the day. This was back in 2013. But then I ended up applying for these college campus placements and actually started working at DE Shaw, which is a hedge fund.
Right.
And I started working in operations over there. But I'd never wanted to work at a big firm, and that's when I started applying to different startups.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and Instamojo was a new startup who had just raised money and they were looking to hire more people. And one of the guys over there who was heading the sales team had been in touch with me because he really liked the kind of stuff that I was doing as a musician back in Delhi
Right.
when I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he got in touch with, I mean, like I got in touch with him, and I sort of went through 2, 3 interview rounds, and I like sort of quit my job at DE Shaw in Hyderabad and moved to Bangalore. And I think that's where I learned everything because it was just about 12 of us when I joined. And
Oh, that's insane, dude. How come you sort of, I mean, before this, you had like no actual experience in marketing, or had you like done a couple of things here and there?
So one of the reasons why they hired me was because so essentially our band page was very nice. That time there used to be Facebook pages and groups, so I'd done a really good job of marketing the brand uh, and the band. So that's something that they really liked. And post that, in fact, my mom used to sell terracotta jewelry, and I'd built out like a Facebook page for her, and it had become really, really active in terms of like she had over 5,000 likes on her page, and at that time, Facebook used to really not block your engagement. So she would
Right.
actively get about 2 to 3 orders every day and stuff like that, and then I built her a website. Post that was the only sort of marketing sales kind of experience I'd
Basically,
had.
you
They
did
just
like
hired me
branding
for
and stuff
basically
like
being a
that.
generalist. Yeah.
Sorry, what?
They just hired me. Instamojo had hired me as a generalist up when I joined them. In terms of it was a sales and marketing, typical BD kind of role, right? Like
Right.
I was a sales guy where I would literally go across 4 different parts of Bombay and sell like Instamojo to offline shop vendors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it started out as that, but it was a very, very small team. So we were literally 4 guys who were responsible for sales in at Instamojo at that time. And whatever business we got, it was 1/4. I mean, so I was contributing 1/4 of the sales revenue of the company. That's how small it was.
Ah, nice.
So
So
it was
basically,
amazing. And then over time,
you
yeah,
kind
and
of
then over
you did social media marketing and stuff like that before it was actually cool to do it, because I think this was back in 2012, 13ish, right?
Yeah, this was back in 2012, 13ish. And yeah, I mean, I was just trying to figure it out. And I mean, the band was a really good way to start off because ultimately you have to tell a story, right? And if you can figure out what makes people buy that story, it can be anything. You can sell a pen, you can sell a ball, you can sell a band, you can sell an idea, right?
Right.
So I think that's the principle that you can apply across different products. And that's what's helped me work with multiple uh, firms over. I mean, I think I've been working now for, I would say, 8.5, 9 years, and
Right. Well,
that's what's helped me throughout because it's a very simple, basic understanding of if you think you can sell something, then just like putting it down in the right way is what makes anybody else pick it up. So, uh, yeah, so essentially it started with Instamojo. Formally because over time I started getting responsible for the product marketing bit at the firm. So apart from
mhm.
sales, then I moved on to sort of making sure more people signed up to the website. Once they did sign up, what is the kind of communication you made to sort of make keep them onto the platform?
Right.
Um,
Funnels and stuff.
Getting more people into the funnel. Yeah. So it was. I mean, it was a great experience because it made me learn a lot. There were very few people, right when I just started at Instamojo, and it was the best thing I've done with my life. I think anybody here who's in their early 20s, I think just working at a startup with bright people is the best thing that you can do right now. Forget how much you get paid
Couldn't agree more with you there, man.
or what the
Especially,
cloud is.
especially with the right people. Like that's
Yeah.
more important than anything. Like screw the idea and shit like that. If you get the right people, that's the best.
Yeah, don't think about the brand and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that makes a difference, dude. At that time, like Instamojo is now one of the biggest platforms for indie musicians to use for like selling tickets and doing a crowdfunding campaign and all that jazz. Right?
Yeah.
Even a Lifafa uses it currently.
Right.
Right? But I mean, that's something that I'd started like nearly 7 years ago or 6 years ago, where I told them that I'll go after this category. And I got some of the biggest artists, including Pratik Kuhar. Like Pratik Kuhar sold tokens and charms through Instamojo,
Oh damn,
right?
that's insane.
And same as Control All Delete. Like Control All Delete is like a crowd-funded music festival, which had like 11 different seasons. And I was the one who got them on board. I don't know if you guys know Zero Festival of Music in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Uh, so I
It's
got them
happening in
on board as a
Arunachal, right?
ticketing partner. Yeah. So I got them on board as a ticketing partner back in 2014, right? And since then, I think it's been 4 years since they've been using Instamojo. So I think it's just, yeah. So at that time, I just learned how to hustle and sort of figure out how to make things happen. And then over time, you just see the fruits of your effort, and it just happens. So it's
Right. And when was the transition to Cred? How what was that like? You worked there for 3 months, as I
so
understand. What was
no,
that
so
all about?
essentially, when I moved to after Instamojo, I moved to Bombay to do music full time, and then I did a bunch of consulting gigs for uh, a bunch of startups. So I was working with Vista Rooms for about 6 months, which is essentially like an Airbnb for villas only,
Right.
right? It's an Indian company. So I worked with them where I brought in a bunch of partnerships and I was doing marketing communications for them. So streamlined a bunch of external communications for them, figuring out their social media strategy. Did that for about 6 months. And in fact, the guy who got me into Instamojo
Hmm.
was is now the head of partnerships at Cred. And
Oh
he,
damn! So it was
he
like a mass
yeah,
poaching or something.
yeah. So he got me into so essentially I was still a full-time musician and I was looking to do different kinds of things, and I had been working with Vista Rooms and we sort of kept chatting and he was building like this whole experiences vertical at Cred. So I don't know if you guys are on Cred, but at some point they used to give away like treks and like NH7 weekender free passes and stuff like that, right? Sunburn passes and stuff like that. So that's something that I did with them,
Right.
right? So I used to arrange like Bombay midnight cycling rides, like treks in Bombay. There were Supersonic Festival. We used to have like a cred lounge over there. So he needed somebody in Bombay who he could trust and like sort of get into partnerships over here, more from the entertainment standpoint. And because I knew a lot of people and Cred is a Bangalore-based firm, so what I would do is I would those 3 months that I was there, I would sort of travel to Bangalore for a week every month, stay there, figure out what the entire team from Bangalore is doing, and then come and implement that for them in Bombay. So that's what I was doing. But at at some point, I felt that I wanted to do something related to music, right? Which is why I ended up doing Big Bang, and I've been there for about 2 years now.
Right. Right. So when the whole Cred thing was going on, you had still was this the time when you had just gotten done with the stage and all that?
Yeah, yeah. Cred was in 2018. I worked with Cred. So at that time, it was. I mean, Cred was
Oh, that
still
was
no. This
after
is
songs from
2019. This is
Matchbox as well.
2009. Yeah, this is 2019. So this is after songs from a Matchbox. Yeah, yeah. So 2019 around February is when I worked with Cred for about 3 months, and then 2000 mid 2019 is when I joined Big Bang Music.
Right, right, right. And coming to the ad, how did that entire thing happen? Like how did that entire process? Like, can you take us back into how they ended up calling you and what
Yeah.
you
So
sang this?
Karan Malhotra, who's made all the jingles for Cred and is a really brilliant music producer, he does all the Cred ads, and he reached out to me because the idea for them was that they wanted to get sort of people with a boy bandish voice,
Mm-hmm.
right, in India to come and sing this track because they didn't want the sort of typical jingle singers to come and do this.
Right.
And that's how he got in touch with me. And this was in the middle of the pandemic, right? So all the studios and etc. were also shut. So it was a very like last minute kind of a project, and he sent me this track, and I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. And they needed like the voice to sound a little younger also, because I mean they wanted to make it sound like exactly like a boy band should. And
Right.
I sort of saw the video and I was like, dude, I'm doing this for sure. So we ended up doing it, and it was crazy because it was completely locked down, but I had to go in for a dubbing session at one point. So I had literally walked it to this particular studio, which is 5 minutes away from my house, one day, and quickly did the dubbing session. Thankfully, music studios are considered to be essential because shooting is still on. It's part of the
Right.
shooting process.
Right. Did you
So I
also
went
write
and
this
very.
the song?
No, I did not. I did not. It was all Karan, and I think somebody from the AIB team wrote the lyrics, and it's pretty apparent, right? Like you'll.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got that kind of a flair to it for sure.
Yeah,
Very, very
for
Gen
sure.
Z, very millennial.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you also on set? Did you get to meet like
No,
the
yeah. I
folks,
wish.
the
I wish.
team
I
members,
just
the
saw
people?
the final film without all the graphics that you see on it. So that is all VFX, right? So I saw it on a green screen. So that's
Uh,
the only early showcase I got. But I sent it to all my friends before before it even came out because I was
yeah,
so
Tom,
excited about
this
it.
is like big time bragging rights, man. If I get to voice for these people,
Yeah,
everyone's
it's like
gonna
you're
know.
singing something like Dil Mange More or something, right? As a Pepsi ad. Like it's one of those iconic ads which will hopefully be talked about 5 years from now. And I just wanted to be a part of that legacy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this whole campaign itself was iconic. Like I am a big. When the whole thing came out, I lost my shit, and I was like, dude, this is just genius. The whole, especially the Rahul Dravid one, that was a master stroke, dude.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think it's a great team, and even Tanmay, I think, is just super involved. In fact, when I used to go live there, we used to live in the service apartment that Cred used to give us,
Right.
right? And literally, Tanmay would just be there for 15 days out of an entire month at that point of time. This is 2.5 years ago. But he would just stay there and be there and just observe what's going on and just advise different people. So I think it's awesome. Like, I think he's just like killed it for them. And he's a perfect example of how you can just use that content creation and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of everything that you learn from it to use it, leverage those skills to use it with brands and sort of use it across the spectrum rather than just focusing on yourself as being a content creator, right? I think that's similar to something that I try and do at a maybe a much smaller scale because I think Tanmay Bhatt is at the pinnacle of it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
sure, dude.
that's
Dude,
what it is, right? I
as a matter
think
of fact, Tanmay Bhatt is actually one of the investors here.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Too
But
good.
dude, like I don't think even when it comes to any kind of content creation, I don't the first person I always think of is Tanmay, because the kind of stuff that he's been able to leverage in terms of the business aspect, basically. I mean, we all know what he does in the front end. We all see his videos, we've all seen AIB and stuff like that, but the way he sort of managed to pull strings in the back end and in order to make this a whole viable business, that is what really blows my mind.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think that's what it is. I think he'd posted a story the other day saying the future of marketing is creators, right? If you're a
Yeah.
good enough creator, you would be able to become a good enough marketer. And that's what happened with I think a lot of people that you've seen, even a Nikhil Chinnappa, for example, you've seen a lot of these examples. I think Ankur Tiwari is a great example also in the music space, who's just used his network and the fact that he's been in the space and been an expert at it for over 15, 20 years now. I think how you leverage that is the most important. So I think also just being a specialist at something that you do, even if it's a niche space, is so important because that's when real value comes out of it.
Right, and I must say that you yourself has are like someone who's been really good at pulling off like partnerships and stuff like that. And I remember, especially last lockdown, I was just sitting in my house and I'm like, every week or every 2 weeks, I see like Raghav is getting free goodies from all these crazy ass brands, and I'm like, damn man, I wish I could get stuff like that. And I remember sort of going on the internet and trying to crack that whole thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've done an ad with Nike. You've been on a couple of different, what do you say, brand pages and stuff like that. So I want to get into how you sort of go about doing that. And I want to talk about this especially because a lot of people who are listening to this, these guys are really into marketing, and all of them, a couple of people listening to this, I'm sure, are creators on this app, and even they want to sort of do something like this somewhere down the line in their careers and stuff like that. So what's your thought? What's your 2 cents over there?
No, I think it's just about sticking to your brand. I think that's something that I've done since the time I started uh, doing music, and that can be applied to, I think, anything that you do. I think if you figure out what your brand stands for and the kind of person you are, right? If you're building a personal brand or if you're building something for somebody else, right? If it's actually a product that you're trying to build, just make sure you know what it stands for and just achieve. I think just if you have that clarity, right, of what you want to do and what you will not do, I think it becomes much easier to sell it to somebody else also. And I think that's one big reason or as to why I've managed to. I don't think I've been very, very successful at it, but I think for the limited scope of it that I have, I think I've sort of milked it quite a bit. And I think I would say one big example of that would be like in in 2019, no, in 2000, yeah, 2019, I done this tour with Saurav Mehta called Giggles and Rhythm. Saurav Mehta is a stand-up comedian where we'd gone to different living rooms of people's houses in 7 different cities and performed for them. And I saw that there were like a lot of musicians doing sort of just singer-songwriters gigs. I had done that a couple of years ago also as like just intimate gigs, but we made a property out of it, right? Like a stand-up comedian and a singer doing it together. We just sort of made an umbrella out of it, packaged it
Right.
nicely, and then took it to Bacardi, and Bacardi picked it up. Right? So I think it's just about a having great management. Like I've been lucky with sort of having Arjun from Shark and Inc. also, who's been backing me for a while. But at the same time, building a nice narrative for everything that you do, right? If you see, I don't do everything under the sun in terms of just because reels are popping with Hindi covers, I won't start sort of jumping the wagon. And
Right.
you see that happening a lot with a lot of musicians and artists, right? So I think it's just
Yep.
about sticking to what you want your brand to be, and then over time it'll happen. So for me, when I started out, my goal was that I want to be one of those top three, four, five sort of most streamed English artists in the country, right?
Right.
That's what
Is
my
that still your goal
essential.
in terms of music?
Yeah, and I feel like I've sort of cracked that, right? Like I feel like
Yeah, yeah, you're
I'm there
already there.
now, you know.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So that's what I want to be like. That was my idea. Now I might want to expand into sort of more whatever I want to do, but that was the goal that I was trying to sort of bridge, so that at some point I can take that to say a brand, right? So now all my pitches have that, right? When we send out something for something where that's what it is. Like if you see the English sort of niche right now in India for musicians, I would say that that's something important to sort of focus on as to what you're trying to build and what niche are you trying to become the best at, and then you can sort of keep building on that. So that's something that really helps with brands, because at any discussion, even when I'm at the label, right, and a brand comes to me and says that I need an artist who's good at this, there are always these pockets, right? While a Raja
Right.
Kumari is filling that space, the female diva space is probably was filled by Monica Dogra, right? Um, what is that space? Who's occupying that right now, right? So that's how brands think, right? In the comedy space, are they going to go with Biswa? Are they going to go with Tanmay? Are they going to go with Abish? Right? Each one of them occupy, or Zakir, right? Each one of them occupies a different kind of space and a different kind of audience. So who are you building an audience for? Do a study on who you're trying to focus on. So literally every time I start a new project or start marketing a new artist, I have like an Excel sheet where I put down every single thing that I want to do for this artist, right? And sometimes it's nice to have like a one liner against each of these artists, right? So for example, there's an artist from Kashmir that I market, who I want to make. For example, the idea is that anybody who plays a guitar in India should want to be him, similar to what Lucky Ali was back in the 90s, right?
Right.
So my one liner for him is good looking guy with a guitar and long hair who always has his guitar with him on Instagram. So that's when you're telling a friend about it, that's probably one thing, that's the one sentence that you would use most likely. And I would make sure that on his Instagram, I would always have a guitar in his photos, for example, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm making it for him, right? And that becomes drilled down so that when a guitar brand or a music brand wants to sort of figure out who do we partner with, then they think of this guy instantly, uh,
Mm-hmm.
for it. So it's about identity. Like for a while mine was the bald guy in a cone, you know what I mean? so
Yeah.
so, so that's a one liner for you, right?
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
right, so that's what you need to try and keep building.
Right, dude. I love how you've sort of, in very simple words, you've sort of broken down the entire personal brand thing into this whole identity that you sort of need to keep up, especially visually, since all of us are like primarily use Instagram for all kinds of our social connections and stuff like that. But now, since you've already cracked that entire thing which you wanted a couple of years ago, which basically you are one. If someone asks me who's the top three English musicians who come to your mind in India, I'm pretty sure I'd have your list on the name. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in India would have that your name on the list, and you're pretty self-aware of that as well. What's next in terms of music? What's the next carrot you're trying to chase?
I think I just want to take it to the next level in terms of my releases. I think I've gotten into a nice rhythm, because I think when I started out, I was like, hey, I want to do 20 tracks every year, and this is the year I'm going to blow up, right? And I don't want to do that for sure, in the sense that I want to release 6 tracks a year. That's my goal, and that's what I work towards every year, right?
Right.
And I keep checking off that box every time I do it.
Do you have a
Um,
studio album coming up anytime soon?
no, I'm not working on an album. I have one track which is ready for October. I would have released it earlier, but it's called Cold Cold Night, so it makes no sense to do it earlier.
Right. Right.
There's one Hindi song which is in production right now. That might have a collaborator just working on that right now. So there are two Hindi songs and one more English song in the pipeline for this year. I've already released three. So that's what's happening. But I want to tell more compelling stories. So I think a little more focus on music videos is what I want to do. I don't know about gigging, but that's something that I really wanted to do properly this year, where I wanted to expand my setup from a four-piece act to more electronic elements, because the music is moving towards that with Cold Cold Night and Unicorn and the Sheep.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Even with
yeah,
the
so I
Hindi
think
song that you
just
released for Chal.
releasing my Hindi music, yeah, making better music videos and marketing it on a larger scale is what the idea is. I just got signed to a Swedish label for a song, so that should be good in terms of somebody says spending that money instead of me to make the track
Nice.
bigger and a little more international acclaim. Yeah.
Right. So I guess what the pattern I kind of see over here is a lot of artists initially they sort of chase the numbers and they want to sort of get to this whole position. And once they've sort of gotten there, it becomes much more of an artistical pursuit than what you say, a numbers based pursuit. And that's exactly what I can sort of get from your future goals is basically you want to express yourself in what do you say, bigger ways, and sort of make the art much more prominent than it was earlier.
I guess so, but I don't think, yeah, I don't think for my music it was anyway too much about the numbers. Yeah, honestly, it wasn't. I mean, that was the goal, but it wasn't like I ever put out music that I didn't want to put out. Like I've literally scrapped songs and music videos because I thought it was I was done with them or I was over them. So I think from that point I've been very very strict with myself in terms of the kind of stuff that I want to release, and I feel that's what people also really respect because I want to keep that certain level of quality and the kind of creativity that comes in into each release. So I've never been the type who release a song every month because the algorithm tells you to, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's not about chasing numbers, but yeah, I mean, it's always been one of the reasons for having a job and not being a full-time musician is also the fact that it gives me that comfort to not be in my head too much about, hey, I need to release a song every month kind of a vibe. You know what I mean? Then it gives me that space to enjoy the process and the journey rather than being like, hey, I need to be the biggest superstar in the country in 1 year. You know what I mean?
Right, right. It's like you basically have different dimensions in your head that you can sort of jump in and jump out of, and not get too attached to like one of them. That's beautiful, dude.
For sure, for sure.
How do you sort of so you have both of these series, and see, okay, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I've been
Hmm.
this guy who I love doing multiple things. I'm extremely, when I like something, there are certain times when I can get very obsessed with it, like insanely obsessed, that I just keep doing that for like weeks together. And I like getting my feet dirty in a lot of different things. And one of the biggest dilemmas that I've had, which I've kind of solved right now, is not to have too many things that you're sort of getting involved in, and to sort of narrow down it as much as you can. And I think you've done that absolutely beautifully, especially right now. You're at like a great spot wherein wherein you have your sort of body entirely deep into music, and you're still using your whole marketing side to it. But and the thing that I'm trying to get to over here is, even in terms of marketing, the work that you do at Big Indie Bang is pretty hardcore, and even in terms of music, you're one of the biggest English songwriters in the country. So both of these are like very very serious stuff, and you've progressed quite a lot in both of them. How do you uh, balance both of them? How do you manage both of them? Is there any time where you feel like something's going down, or how do you sort of pick it up from there? Do you have a algorithm at play over here?
No, I think, look, like you mentioned, for example, I haven't done so much on Instagram lately, right? So that's one of the things where I feel like I might be slacking right now. So I think I just let it be right now. I'm not so hard on it because it's in terms of priorities. I think my job is my first priority. So I make sure that that's taken care of. It's also because it's a job, right? So there's that stick is not with you, it's somebody else sort of making sure that work gets done. So I would say that I, it's about prioritizing for me. I completely get what you said about getting obsessed because I'm the same, and it becomes hard, and it ends up leading to very bad work-life balance,
Yeah.
which I think I struggle with, but definitely getting better at it over time. um but it's something that like you have to, if you like doing it, right? So the job is something that I have to do and I can't not do, in terms of if I'm at this role then I need to sort of deliver to it, right? So there's no question about wanting to do it or not. You still have to sort of keep chugging at it because it's a full-time job. The music bit comes with when I'm feeling like doing it, and I feel like doing it a lot. You know what I mean? Because it's one of
Right.
those things that I've done for the rest of my, I mean, for a large part of my life, and I want to keep doing it. So, I think if you find something that you really like doing, right, then you would want to keep coming back to it, even if you have lesser time. Your weekends won't feel like, hey, I don't want to do anything. I let me just focus on this. So I think it's. Uh, I've just found that sweet spot where I know that music is the thing that my life has to revolve around, whether it's a job or me being an artist or somewhere in the middle of that. I'm okay with that as long as it's going to help me become that expert at something. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm okay with that whether it's as a musician or whether it's as a marketer or somebody in the music business. Because what I've sort of realized over the last, I think, now 11 years of obsessively doing this, um, is that that perspective nobody can take away from you, right? Because imagine, for example, cryptocurrency, right? Like everybody's obsessing over it, but the guy who sort of has been following the space for the last 8 years or 10 years, nobody can take that away from him. You know what I mean? That
Yep, yep, for
perspective you
sure.
can't build in 1 month or 2 months, right? And that's what my perspective is, and that's what really helps me at every part of my job as well, and as a musician, because I've just done this for very very long now, and done it in an obsessive manner. So even my conversations with potential artists, with potential partners, become a lot more, because it could be I can talk about any kind of music and any kind of song, for example, right? And that can apply to cryptocurrency, it can apply to any other, right, field that you work in. But that's really helped me. So I think like what you're doing right now is also really interesting. But uh, I've sort of tried to just stick to music as something, and maybe media over time, which is what
Right,
you're doing, right? But I'm trying to sort of just focus on being a pro at the music business, right? So that
right, right.
the opportunities are endless, and yeah.
What's the kind of foresight that you operate in? I'm just curious to know. Like, for example, are you the kind of person who thinks, ki, okay, 5 years down the line, this is where I want to be? Or are you the kind of person who's like, a year down the line, this is where I want to be? What's the kind of foresight that you have in your head currently?
So very, very anxious and nervous person in life. So definitely 5 year plans are a important part of it, which is why I think at some point I went through a very hard time being a full time musician, because I was just like, where is life going to go? I don't want to be a just a singer at a bar or wedding singer at 35, right?
Right.
And which is why I took that call about 2 years ago to also start doing something in the music space, right? So yeah, definitely think about what's happening in the next 5 years. I want to definitely start my own sort of shop in the next 5 years. I think everything I do right now is gearing towards sort of just figuring out what exactly that's going to be, and then sort of working towards that and moving in that direction. But definitely in the music space, hopefully more global experience also. Currently just sort of constantly reading about stuff that's happening, making myself more aware, and building that network also that I currently don't have. Yeah, I think
Do you
that's the
think
plan
India
for five
has a
years
good
but
enough TAM
definitely.
for English music?
Sorry.
Do you think India has a good enough TAM for English music?
100%, 100%, I think it does. It'll only become bigger, but I don't know. I feel like if you really want people to put in that money currently, um, that's not going to happen anytime soon, because check it out, right? Like I still make very little money from, say, streaming. For example, it's not enough to live a decent life in Bombay, for example. Like if I was playing live gigs and doing streaming, then definitely you can survive and live a decent life. But it's very very hard otherwise to just sing in English and live a decent life. So at some point I feel like the addressable market will also, I mean, it'll happen, but I think it's very very far from making you financially stable.
Right. And this entire point that you said about, choosing between certain things at certain times, I saw your TEDx talk and you sort of very beautifully said it in a really nice way on how you made certain decisions in life based on certain things that
Yeah.
were giving you at the moment, and how you did not feel like it was a compromise on your part.
Yeah, I think everything is a opportunity cost, right? Like me being a full-time musician was an opportunity. I mean, there was an opportunity cost for, I mean, like I would what I would have been making at a job, for example, right? Right now also, if I'm in the music business, I could have been doing something very very different, right? I could have been selling a payment gateway, for example. um, so there's a lot that there's a lot of different factors at play, but I think every decision ends up having a consequence, and there are different opportunity costs to every decision that you make. It could be financial, it could be creative expression. There are multiple different ways through which you can navigate that. You can watch the TED talk, or sort of just look at each decision that you make and see what aspect it fulfills for you. Currently, when I get a, for example, because I have a job and something music related comes into my picture, I think about it should fill in two out of the three buckets, right? So if I'm not making a shitload of money out of it, it should definitely satisfy me creatively and give me a lot of exposure, right? Otherwise, I just turn it down. So I think anything right now, my sort of thing is that, hey, let me just write my music and put it out, otherwise it's not worth my time. For example, that's my headspace, which is why the sort of not so much Instagram activity and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Makes sense, dude. Cool. I'm gonna open this up to the chat. I'd love for you guys to sort of ask any questions you have. Also, dude, Raghav, I've seen a lot of your interviews on YouTube. I've never really seen you talking about this whole marketing side of you. So this was such a lovely conversation, man. It was so nice to sort of explore the side of you that I haven't really seen anywhere, and such an honor to be the guy who's doing that.
No, 100%. It's always amazing to chat with you because you're a really smart guy, dude. And I feel like this app is brilliant. Very interesting conversations, and I do this a lot at work, right? Like ultimately, there are a lot of people who you need to sort of teach about marketing also. While I feel like it also comes naturally to a lot of people. Some people you can just like you. I think anything can be learned if you just hear good information and sort of keep your eyes and ears open. So it's awesome that you guys are doing this.
Cheers, man. Cheers, man. I'm just going to take a couple of questions from the chat. Do you believe luck as a part of your journey?
100%, yeah. Like luck is very very important. I think you get
That's as
luckier if
honest
you
as
work
it
harder.
gets.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like sometimes opportunities come your way because another musician fell sick. I mean, that has to be luck, right? Like some of these things are definitely at play, and yeah, you get luckier if you're like working harder or putting yourself in the right place at the right time. But definitely, luck is a huge part of it.
Right. I think the way it works is kind of like when you like put enough hard work, you kind of expose yourself so much that the chances of luck happening to you sort of increases. So it becomes like a statistical advantage at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. 100%. I think that's what it is. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, you should believe in luck also at the same time. So just keep doing what you do and believing in yourself, and at some point, it'll be luck or it'll be your hard work. It doesn't matter. It'll still take you there.
Awesome. Nikhil is asking when will Raghav be back with late night conversations? What's the
What's up,
fate
Nikhil? I saw
thing?
that question. I don't know if I'll do late night conversations again. In terms of, I mean, I'll keep doing it on and off like I do. Um, but I think as a property, I feel like it needs something new for it to happen again because it just doesn't feel as exciting. So unless you have a great idea of what that format can be, uh, I think workshops is something that I've really started enjoying. I've been doing a bunch of these workshops and donating all this money to COVID relief activities. So that feels really fulfilling also. So done two in the last 2 months and donated to a cause. So just looking at doing stuff that I wanted, which has a larger impact as well.
Lovely, dude. Kumar is asking what are the four main things we should consider for personal brand building?
Four
We've
main
already
things you
spoken
should.
about that in a broader context, but if you can sort of, can you think of four things?
Four things. So I would say a consistency, something that you should, if you're sort of posting on Instagram, do it consistently, right? And just making sure that you have that clarity. So the second thing would definitely be clarity as to where you want to go with it and what you're trying to portray to the world. So that's something that you should definitely do. Third is, I think, just visually make sure it's consistent also, right? Apart from posting regularly, make sure uh, you're saying the same thing over and over again, and not sort of suddenly somebody else is only coming out with something. Or if you're changing your strategy, then make sure it's done in the right way. That's number three. Four things. What would be the fourth thing? I feel like just be honest, because you're not going to do it for too long if you're not being just who you are and true to yourself, so if you're going to be this badass diva, and if that's not you, then you're going to do it for maybe 2 months or 6 months and then stop doing it, and that's pointless, right? So you might as well just put yourself out there as the person that you are, because then it'll be easier to sort of make sure it's there for a longer period of time. How do you build this network? So I think no, I think it's not only musicians, it's anybody in the space that you think will be interesting. I made it a point to meet somebody every single day. Um, right, when I was a full-time musician, so I would literally seek out people that would want to meet me for a cup of coffee or a beer, whatever it was. But I would actively go out of my house and meet new people, because there's so much that you can learn from meeting new people. Be as social as you can, use LinkedIn, it really helps. um, I think these are the ways that you can build your network. But just be a nice guy, like just be a nice person, because nothing is better than word of mouth. So if you're not nice to people and you're not professional enough, nobody's going to recommend you. I think a lot of it comes from just being a good person and doing things the right way and treating people properly, because a lot of work will come from there more than anything else. I usually write down the lyrics and then put a melody to my songs. Ikansh, if that's how you pronounce your name. I love the BoJack Horseman picture.
Dude, what attachment do you need in the email for the Big Bang Indie one? Do you know Abhin? Have you heard his music?
I think so. It looks familiar. Hi, Abhin. Nothing, yeah. Just send your SoundCloud links to your upcoming music and send your profiles of like your Instagram handle and stuff like that. But more importantly, your music.
Right. Dude, on a side note, I totally think you should listen to Abhin's music. He's one of the best Hindi
I
musicians
think
I
I have.
personally. He
I
has a
think I
song
have.
called Kami Hai, which I think it just crossed 200,000 streams today or something like that.
So cool. I'll
Yeah,
check it
he's
out.
a crazy, crazy ass musician, man. You should totally check out his stuff.
Best platform to reach me is my email ID. I'm just gonna put it down. That's the best place to reach me. Okay. LinkedIn helps musicians to a point where, man, if you need to sort of talk to, say, a streaming service, or need to reach out to some people, it's the best way to reach professionals, right? So you just like constantly reach out to different people and see what who responds to you. So definitely works for musicians.
Right, let's take one last question from Sagar.
Yeah, Sagar, I think you should definitely focus. See, it's a difficult one. If you're feeling confident enough, give it 2 3 years, do music, right, and see where the opportunities lie. I don't think there's a need for you to do a job unless you feel really strongly about it. It's also based on your financial circumstances. Like, do you have 2 years to sort of just give to this without the expectation of too much coming from it, from in terms of finances? If you're okay with that, give it give it a shot, but do it with all your gusto, so that even if you need to get a job, you might be able to get a job in that space itself, right? So I think that's in 2 minutes, that's how I can answer it. Well, I'm a writer and really want to put my poems out. Can you suggest the best platform so that I can get a right amount of followers? I'm not sure actually, but Medium should be good. Sid, I don't know if you know of any other poetry platforms.
Um,
Definitely reach out to Commune, because they do a lot of stuff with poets. So
K
K O
Patel is
M
good. You
M
should
O
reach
U
out to
N
K
E.
Patel. They can get you good reach.
Tay Patel. In fact, Kopal and I went to college together at Tay Patel. Uh,
Nice.
will Spotify
Well,
link a voice recording of the upcoming song and work not available on SoundCloud? Um, yeah, but that voice recording just put on SoundCloud and send it as a
just make it a
private link.
private thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because SoundCloud is just easier to share. There are multiple people who listen to it, and then it's gone. It goes through a stage of sort of people listening to it, and then it reaching multiple ears. So it's easier to sort of share when it's on SoundCloud, Abhin. So that'll be awesome. How important is a known network needed to excel? I mean, not really. If you're super talented, I mean, people will reach you, but it only helps. So you should definitely do that.
Awesome,
Yep.
dude. I think let's sort of end it over here. I'm pretty sure people will have more questions. Are you open to taking questions in your DMs?
On Instagram, I just
Yeah.
missed them, but I would, yeah, for sure. I mean, I do answer a lot of them, but I'm not the best at it. The email is the best part. I mean, best place where you should reach me. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Guys, Raghav has
Someone
shared his
wants
email.
to, this you brand is not what you say it is, it's what they say it is. How does one incorporate emotions into? Oh man, wow, what a question.
Dude, if you have the time, feel free to take more questions, man. I'm not like trying to stop you or anything. I just don't want you to feel like
No,
I'm
no, I'll just
making you
take
say
this
your
one
opinion.
question. No,
Cool.
I think that's what it is, right? Like building a personal brand is about what you think the brand is and what people think the brand is, and just bridging that gap is when you've achieved success, right? Because in your head you have a certain idea of who you are, right? And look at it from a personal standpoint, right? Your friends, think of it from your friends, right? If you think you're the most macho or the most fit person in your group, but your friends don't think that way, but how do you sort of get them to feel that you are the fittest person in that group? It's the same as that on social media, right? Yeah, social media is ultimately a bunch of individuals that you need to convince of a certain fact that you are indeed that person, or you are indeed that person who you think they are, or who you think you are. So it's ultimately just bridging that gap between what they think and you think for it to become a success story, I think. And the biggest brands try make sure that that gap is bridged through money, through different kinds of activities that they do to ensure that people think of them as what they want them to think. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome, dude.
Cool, I'm gonna head out now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks a lot for doing this, man. This was super amazing. This episode's gonna come out on Spotify tomorrow, so you will finally have what do you say, a piece of content where you're talking about marketing as well, which I think is a great thing for you to have. And everyone who's in the chat, guys, go listen to Raghav's music. If you haven't already, I'm pretty sure half of the people have already listened to you. But if you haven't, go check out his music. You won't regret it. He's one of the best musicians out there in the country, and I'm fucking sure that you're all gonna like this. Thank you so much for doing this, Raghav. This was super amazing, man.
Thanks, Sid. Good luck with all your stuff.
Cheers, man. Cheers, man. Good night.
Bye.